God is good, and with each day that passes brings us a day closer to the launch of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. This is the Nathan Napalm channel, and if you are new here, please consider subscribing, especially if you're interested in Pantheon-related content on our march to launch. Today, guys, I want to talk a little bit about raiding, and we got the new July roundtable, and we have a master Unity programmer who works for Visionary Realms, of course, and he's talking in this section I'm going to play about raiding and about programming it for not only to allow a lot of systems, but to also allow a lot of flexibility in the future and to really give the creative freedom needed for the designers to be able to do really cool things, basically. And he compares it to trying to make enough systems in place for it to feel as free as something such as Dungeons & Dragons or Magic the Gathering, which is pretty intense, if you ask me, for that to be your goal. But anyway, let's hear what he had to say exactly, and then we'll talk more about it.
Raiding was like my number one thing in EQ1. I just spent the entire time raiding pretty much, or trying to beat end game content with tiny groups too. But I'm a huge fan of getting in all of those mechanics to do all kinds of crazy stuff and build out giant, complex, fun raid zones that, in my opinion, should go on forever. But I know some people like to go to sleep. Now things like damage reflect, healing, a lot of that stuff, there's already functionality in there. We've got things like counterspelling, reflecting, copying spells, changing targets. Now, how designers decide to use those, and what's an NPC ability versus what players can do, and how those are all hooked up, it's really up to the design team. But we're making sure to be able to support all kinds of crazy stuff. Basically, one of the things I'd like to do is be able to support just about anything that you could do in like a D&D style game, or some of the stuff you could do in like a Magic the Gathering game, like all kinds of cool things like stripping spells, grouping up to counter spells so that multiple people have to counter it. All that kind of stuff is already kind of available, and just kind of influx on what we're going to do with them, and how those things will or will not work, and what things will do them. But we're trying to make it as flexible as possible so they can do all kinds of fun, cool stuff, and ideally show off some new things that we don't see in a lot of other games, or that are only in certain other games. So
those counter spells, that reminds me straight away of an encounter in Vanguard that I used to love raiding out in the islands in Kojan. There was a mob that you needed Scientists and sorcerers to counter at the same time. You had a very, very split-second window to get somebody to counter that spell. Otherwise, it'd instantly kill someone.
Yeah, and we got the same kind of functionality is already in for Pantheon.
That was sweet.
And then or redirecting those, or copying them, or any of that kind of stuff. It's lots of fun. Yeah, it's fun to play around with. It'd be really interesting.
It's good, but it can fail as well. Like if there's a chance to fail and you need multiple people to all go at the same time and all hit that exact spot, because if one fails it, the other, it's going to wipe your group or something, so the other one needs to hit it. It's really...
Oh yeah, I've even, in my test setups at least, set it up so that there are some abilities that require multiple of them to successfully land to take down a bigger spell.
Oh, no,
just trying to play with the ideas and see what kind of cool stuff we can do. So, like I said, I just want to make it so design can do fun stuff, and whatever comes to mind. And they keep coming up with really cool ideas too. So a lot of the new stuff in the raid, they came up with all kinds of cool, fun stuff of, can we do this and that? And we're getting it all in and just making it all into fun stuff that you can use throughout the whole game.
A lot of really cool information there, a lot of things to get excited about. And also, we do know that they have a raid type encounter that they're about to show us. We're super close to seeing that. You can kind of hear in his language there that they know something's coming, and he even refers to it there towards the end as some new ideas playing with that raid encounter. And I'm assuming that he's talking about the raid encounter that they've been working on to show off soon, which I'm pretty excited about. And if you ask me, it's going to be that creature that they showed at the end of the last Co-Carnage stream and kind of teased it like, oh, there's more to come soonish. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably the raid encounter we're going to get to see soon. But in any case, he talks about some really cool features and things that they're working on, but I really like the fact that they're trying to, from the ground level, the coding level, you know, which would be the base that all the systems have to work off of, you know what I mean? Because you got programming and you have designing, and the design team can come up with the coolest ideas you ever heard in your life, but if the programming side doesn't allow for it in a systematic, clean way, then the system may not work or be able to be implemented. It's very good to hear, number one, that they have somebody on their team, such as Mr. Jason, who is very competent at his job and once again, known to be a master of the Unity programming, and that he's with Visionary Realms. That is awesome alone. But then when he begins to talk about designing things with a lot of flexibility, and that was kind of this whole round table was kind of what it was, the theme was, is that they're trying to build a nice, clean code, keeping things separated, not spaghetti coded, you know, where everything's all tangled and mixed up. And at one point they were talking about during Vanguard, while they were working on it, that there was a bug with the feigned death for the monk, so they fixed it. They patched it out, released it to live, and then the entire crafting system quit working. You know what I mean? Like, spaghetti coding is such a disaster because you fix one thing and then it breaks something that's totally different. You know, like feigned death and crafting. You know what I mean? You wouldn't think that changing feigned death would affect crafting at all, but it did. It broke the entire system. So they're talking a lot about keeping code and strings of code much more clean and separated and easier to find, certain functions and certain commands and coding language and all that kind of thing. So just making it easier to patch and easier to fix bugs and easier to sort through and find issues, that kind of thing, because stuff like that's really important when you don't have 200 people working on programming. You know what I mean? When you only got a few people, when you got a smaller team, you got to keep things cleaner and easier to find and that kind of thing. Also makes it easier for the game to live longer and to add new features and all that kind of thing. So I'm very excited. But as far as rating goes, it sounds like from a programming standpoint that they have everything on lockdown. From the design standpoint that we've heard so far, and of course we're going to get to see a lot of details soon and see it in action, but from a programming point it looks good. From a design philosophy point of view, it's sounding really good too. So I think we're going to have something really special, guys, because remember, it's going to be special almost no matter what, simply because it's different than what we've been getting for the past decade, which is instanced raiding. I mean, it's completely instanced. So, now we're not getting that. Now we're going to have open world contested raiding again. They claim they have a solution to allow that without so much of the toxicity and that kind of thing. We'll see. We don't know the details on that yet, but they claim they have a system with a name, with a purpose, and a plan. And I do trust their vision. I do trust their project, and we'll hear more about that soon. But just it being a contested open world raid system sounds like heaven to me. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video today. More to come soon. And until next time, God bless and happy gaming. Please listen to what I say. I've been making videos all day. My friends all say I'm it's a video buffet. You can even hit replay. But please just subscribe. I can't even describe being part of my tribe. I'll even offer you a prize, but please just subscribe and hit the bell notification too.